Hello and welcome to NQ Photography Quick Tips. I'm Michael and today I'll be showing you how to edit a HDR scene in Adobe Lightroom. Today, we'll be taking 3 bracketed exposures and merging them into one using Adobe Lightroom's built-in HDR functions. We'll add some color and some contrast as well as a little vibrance. Now, what is exposure bracketing? Well, exposure bracketing is used when you have a scene such as this one, where you want to get detail in both the highlights and the shadows of an image. This is needed because digital cameras have a limited dynamic range. Now you might ask yourself why you don't just pull the highlights all the way down and push the shadows all the way up. Well, this is because if you do that, you won't be able to recover all of the details and you'll introduce extra noise into the image. Now on to the actual editing. First off, what you want to do is import your raw files into Adobe Lightroom. Then go into the Develop module, select your bracketed shots. You'll usually have 3 of these. One overexposed image, one normally exposed image, and one underexposed image. So if you have a more advanced camera, or you do it manually, you can get more than these 3. This will give you more granularity when creating your HDR. So first off, select the 3 images, then right-click them. Select Edit Photo Merge, HDR. This will bring up a dialog box, which will generate a low-resolution preview of the HDR you're going to create. This can sometimes take a while. And there we go. This is the preview of the HDR that we'll be generating. I would turn on Auto Align, turn off Auto Tone, and if you have moving subjects in your image, enable some level of deghosting. This is dependent on what's actually in the image, so it won't be the same for everyone. Next, press Merge to create a full resolution version of the HDR. You'll see the full resolution image has appeared here in our editing bar down here, in our selection bar. Now, if you click on this image, you'll see it looks kind of like a normally exposed image, but a little bit different. It's changed the color temperature because it was set to this image. We can change that later on. Now, what you can see is this looks fairly similar to the normally exposed image, but it has significantly more dynamic range. We can show this by turning down the exposure all the way, and you can see that we still have details in the clouds. But if we turn the exposure all the way up, you can see that we have details also in the shadows of the building. Let's just set it back to 0. Now, seeing as how we didn't select Auto Tone in the HDR dialog box, we want to actually turn it manually. So the settings for this vary, obviously dependent on the image and the subject. Now, the settings that we discovered for this image was of an exposure about 1.25 stops, highlights down 100% so we can get all the details in the clouds, and put the shadows up just to about 70 or 80%, just to give some more detail on the roof here and the door there. The next thing we want to do is set a white point, because this image currently doesn't have any whites in it, which makes it look quite bland. So hold down the Alt or Option key on your computer, depending if it's Windows or Mac, and then you can drag up the whites until you get to a point just about there where you've got just a little bit of white showing through. Do the same for the blacks, but in this case I'm going to drag it down a bit. I'm going to put some black up there in the roof. Now, seeing as how this was in an industrial area, what we want to do is add a bit of grit into the road, as it was in real life. Now, we don't want to just increase clarity for the whole image, because that will sort of mess up the paneling on the building, and also the clouds, as you can see there. So what we'll do is we'll use the masking tool to create a selected area where we can apply clarity. Now, what I recommend doing when selecting your mask is pressing the O key to enable the layer mask overlay. What this will do is when you put the mask down, it'll bring up a red painting area so you can see where the mask is. And just select, in this case, all of the road, and a little bit of the building is okay, so it'll feather off. Alright, so that's all selected there now, nicely. A bit more down there. Alright, now press O again to hide the layer mask overlay. And now what you can do is you can increase the clarity just of the road. So I'm going to leave it at about 51. Doesn't really need to be, you don't really need to saturate it. I mean, you can if you need to, but I'm just going to leave it at 0. Now, you can close that and go back to the default basic settings. Now from here, what you can do is you can change some of the more advanced settings to do with the color. But first, start with the white balance, temperature and tint settings up here. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the temperature to about 8000K, maybe 8500K, roughly, just because it'll give it a nicer aesthetic when you look at it. Now, this image has already had some purple added to it by Lightroom, but this is what it looks like without it. It looks really green, not very nice. So if we add about 30 purple, it just brings up, it gives it a bit more sort of vibrance. It makes it look, it just looks more visually appealing, makes it truer to life. Now, I don't recommend doing the vibrance like this. It just makes it look oversaturated. So, I mean, if you're going to do it, but then leave it for an hour and come back and take a look, see if it's actually what you want to do with the image. Now, something I like to do with all of my photos is to remove chromatic aberration. I'll just show you what this does by zooming in 3:1. Let's just come up here onto the roof here and this antenna. Now you see, there's a blue sort of blue fringe here, orange one there, and a bit of purple and blue and green here. It just doesn't look very nice. So if you tick remove chromatic aberration, it will just remove those automatically. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to remember to like, comment and subscribe, as well as join our community over at nqphotography.com. It's free and anyone can join. Thanks very much for watching.